Juventus' rivals sense vulnerability for the first time in a long time. I think that's because of the resignation of a great coach like Antonio Conte, the timing of it at the beginning of pre-season, and the identity of his successor, Massimiliano Allegri, who many people, for whatever reason, don't rate. But Conte leaves a ferocious winning mentality. They have the best squad in the league. It didn't need many additions, but they've added to it and as of yet have kept their best players. I think Allegri is a better manager than many make out. Sassuolo's rise to the division started with him. He led Cagliari to the best finish in 15 years, beating Mourinho to the Coach of the Year award, and he delivered the Scudetto at Milan for the first time in 7 years. So I think they're probably still slight favourites. I think for the first time since 2001-2, when Roma were the holders, they go into this season with a real chance of winning the Scudetto. Remember, between 2006 and 2009 under Luciano Spalletti, they were the outsiders. No one expected them to beat Mancini's Inter or Mourinho's Inter. I think this time, because of what's happened at Juventus and because of the season Roma had last year, when they put up 85 points, which would have been enough to win the Scudetto in 5 of the last 6 seasons, it was a club record, and the additions they've made in the meantime, Ashley Cole, Seydou Keita, Juan Manuel Iturbe, the most expensive signing of the transfer window in Italy so far. I think people expect them to repeat what they did last year, even though they will be in Europe, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle playing on 3 fronts. A year ago, there was a lot of hype and enthusiasm around Napoli following the appointment of a coach like Rafa Benitez and the signings that followed the sale of Edinson Cavani, first and foremost that of Gonzalo Higuain. Now, they finished 3rd, they were a bit off the pace, but they won the Coppa Italia, although that triumph was overshadowed. There was violence beforehand, one of their fans was shot, and tragically, he later died, and that has cast a shadow over their summer. It's been low-key from Napoli's perspective as well. They haven't made many signings, but I think the players that they brought in last year will be more familiar with Rafa Benitez's system, they'll be more familiar with playing in Serie A, and I think more consistency will come from that. So, in the expectation that this will be a more ordinary season, because Juventus probably won't post 102 points, I think Napoli will be closer. It was always going to be a big summer for Inter. It was the first of the new owner, Eric Tohir, since his takeover in November, and the last of the members of that treble-winning team in 2010 either retired or left. And so there was going to be a leadership vacuum in that dressing room. I think it's partly been filled by Nemanja Vidic, signs from Manchester United on a free transfer. Andrea Ranocchia has been given the captain's armband, and the hope is that he will live up to his potential. And they've made some really shrewd signings. They brought in Dodò from Roma, Jan Envia from Rubin Kazan, and Dani Osvaldo from Southampton, and they've got a really good midfield. If you think of Hernanes, Envia and Kovacic, or another one of their signings, Pitbull, Gary Medel. So I think Inter could be an outside bet for a Champions League place. Milan finished 8th last season. It was one of their worst in recent memory. They appointed Pippo Inzaghi to replace Clarence Seedorf. Now, he is inexperienced, but he's less inexperienced than his predecessor. He's been coaching in Milan's youth setup for the last 2 years, and he's had some success there. He won the prestigious Viareggio Trophy, and the hope is that he will bring through some of the promising players that he had under him there. For example, Hakim Mastur, this teenage wunderkind. I think a lot is expected of him, maybe too much at this point in time. Milan don't have the money that they had in the past. They've only been able to make free transfers. They've sold Mario Balotelli in the expectation that they'll use that money to bring in maybe Alessio Cerci from Torino. But I think it will be another season of disappointment for Milan. The guru, the high priest of attacking football, is back. Cagliari have appointed Zdenek Zeman. All lovers of the beautiful game should be obliged to support whichever team Zdenek Zeman is coaching. We all know what his teams are like. They play 4-3-3, they attack, they don't defend, they score lots of goals, they concede lots of goals. They are great fun. He made his name at Foggia and more recently kind of resurrected himself at Pescara, and that was a great cause of pride for him, because within that team were a group of youngsters, Marco Verratti, Lorenzo Insigne, Ciro Immobile, who all got their chance under him and went to the World Cup. So yeah, young players at Cagliari will get their opportunity. Zeman's football is utopian, it's romantic. His critics say that it's not grounded in realism, that you can't play this way anymore. Well, he's going to try and prove them wrong. So I'm going to be backing Roma for the Scudetto this season. If you think it's going to be someone else, say Juventus, say Napoli, let us know in the comments section below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, you can do so by pressing this button. Join me later on this week for another 5 talking points from Serie A. I look forward to seeing you then.